Widow cleans her husband's workshop and discovers he was lying all the time. It's been 2 weeks since her husband passed away, and Betty is still struggling to move on. His presence is felt throughout the house. After finishing up the rest of the house, she must sort through her husband's workshop and the shed. He spent a lot of time there after retirement, tinkering with old machinery. She didn't have the key, so she called a locksmith for help. The locksmith immediately opened the door. The workshop appeared normal, although a little unorganized. As Betty went further, she noticed more dust than expected. Betty found something interesting in the workshop and told her son, Mike, about it. They went to the workshop together and found a trapdoor under the workbench. They went down some stairs and found a garage with a cool car inside. Mike saw a map in the car and knew where to go. He used a remote to open the garage door, and they drove away. They found a neighborhood with a house for sale. Later, they arrived at another old house on the edge of town that was also for sale. Betty wondered if there was a connection between the two houses. Mike rang the doorbell but no one answered. He had an idea about how to learn more about this mysterious property. Meanwhile, Betty decided to investigate the car further. The car looked normal and tidy to Betty, but she noticed a big black bag taking up the whole glove box, which made her curious. Betty was shocked by what she discovered when she opened the bag. Inside, there were nicely ordered stacks of $100 bills, perhaps thousands of dollars. She carefully removed the money, revealing many sets of keys and plastic cards within. Her hands shook as she understood what she'd found. She called Mike, who was walking back to his car. They were both surprised to learn that the driver's licenses featured photographs of her late husband but different identities. Betty couldn't get the horrible sense that she didn't really know her late husband. It seemed like he had kept a huge secret from her. However, Mike had a different perspective after discovering the bag. Mike decided to attempt unlocking the front door using the several sets of keys from the black bag. Eventually, one of the keys turned, and the door opened. Mike hesitated for a second, but he didn't want to call the cops until they had more information. Mike and Betty entered the house together, ensuring the door was locked behind them to prevent anyone from sneaking up on them. Inside the house, it was dark because there was no electricity, meaning nobody had lived there for a while. Mike used his phone's light to help them look around while Betty stuck close to him in silence. They searched the house carefully but couldn't find anything connecting it to Wilbert. Mike decided to check upstairs while Betty stayed downstairs because she was tired. Betty felt upset and angry realizing how much Wilbert had kept hidden from her. Just when she was about to give up, Mike called her excitedly. She rushed upstairs to see what he found. Upstairs, it was hard for Betty to see, but she heard Mike in a nearby room. He pointed out a painting on the wall. Betty went closer to see it. The painting looked better than the rest of the house, not dusty or damaged. As she got closer, she gasped and put a hand over her heart. Mike laughed at her reaction. The painting showed their family, and Betty wondered why it was in an empty house and if Wilbert wanted them to find it. Mike took down the painting carefully and found a safe in the wall with an envelope attached to it. He opened the envelope carefully, and they read a letter from Wilbert. They were shocked. Wilbert had been involved with bad people and illegal activities to support their family. He had found hiding places for them to stay away from the police or do bad things without getting caught. It all started by accident a long time ago. Betty remembered a conversation they had about buying a rental house like this one, but she thought it was too risky. However, Wilbert secretly bought this house to keep them safe without telling her. Wilbert discovered a visitor in the house. During an illegal activity wave in the city, the stranger was a lawbreaker looking for protection from the cops. He offered to pay Wilbert to use the house privately, which Wilbert accepted because it was a good deal. More individuals joined over time, but as the police settled the issue, the criminals moved on. The presence of the safe remained a mystery. Mike flipped the letter and saw writing on the other side. It said that before Wilbert passed away, he sold everything but needed a safe place to hide money from the government. At the end of the letter, there was a code, probably for the safe. Mike used the code to open it and inside was a lot of money. Betty wasn't sure what to do with it. They thought about telling the police but decided not to because Wilbert wanted them to be happy and safe. That's what they planned to do. And besides the money, Betty had the painting, which she would always treasure.